Welcome, gentle listener, to another journey with your sleepy historian. Tonight, we drift together into a quiet corner of the past, exploring tales not of conquest or clamor, but of the forgotten and the tranquil stories that whisper softly across centuries. This is Boring History for Sleep, a place where falling asleep to boring history becomes a comforting ritual. Here, the rhythms of daily life, the careful brushstrokes of ancient scribes, and the quiet cadence of distant cultures unfold like a soft, slow dream. Imagine yourself settling into the warm embrace of your bed. The day's noise recedes. The lamp beside you glows faintly, or perhaps the room is dim, enveloped in gentle shadows. Tonight, we wander into the world of ancient China, where scholars, poets, and humble citizens alike recorded their dreams on delicate scrolls. These dream scrolls were more than idle musings. They were reflections of daily life, subtle fears, aspirations, and the strange, calm imaginings of society long past. We will explore them together in a measured, soothing voice, letting the images, the textures, and the quiet patterns of their lives drift around you like the soft turning of parchment pages. As we proceed, allow the gentle rhythm of this soft, spoken history documentary to guide you. You may find yourself relaxing deeper with every sentence, letting thoughts float as if on a slow river. And if this kind of storytelling brings you peace, feel free to like the video and subscribe, only if it genuinely comforts you. Share your quiet moments with us in the comments, perhaps where you're listening from or what time it is where you lie. It is curiously comforting to know who else is drifting into the past in the same hush of night, falling asleep to these calm bedtime stories. Tonight, our journey will gently unfold across 4 segments. First, we will immerse ourselves in the daily rhythms of life in ancient China, exploring ordinary routines and quiet ceremonies. Then, we'll meet a singular figure whose life intertwined with the mysterious dream scrolls, uncovering intimate details of their world. Next, we will trace threads of mystery, archaeology, and culture, letting the enigma of these scrolls stir our curiosity without breaking the calm. Finally, we will contrast the lives of the social elite with the broader population, observing the delicate interplay between privilege and simplicity. Dim the lights. Imagine the scent of ink, paper, and incense floating through time. Let the soft rustle of silk robes accompany our journey. Let the gods whisper, let the myths unfold, and let us begin. In the soft haze of early morning, the quiet city of Chang'an awakens gradually. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a narrow street, watching the gentle stirrings of life around you. The air is cool, carrying faint hints of wet earth and distant incense from small temples tucked among the winding alleys. Shopkeepers rise from their modest homes, sweeping the dust from worn wooden thresholds, while the first clatter of ceramic bowls from nearby kitchens signals breakfast preparations. Life moves in a deliberate rhythm here. Unlike the hurried pace of cities today, the people of Chang'an seem to measure time not by the ticking of a clock, but by the rising and setting of the sun, by the subtle shadows cast upon their courtyards, and by the measured steps of daily routine. Farmers, having already traveled from nearby villages, bring their baskets of vegetables, grains, and herbs to the markets. Each stall is a quiet mosaic of color and texture. Bundles of green leafy vegetables, pale stalks of bamboo shoots, and jars filled with preserved foods lining the edges of the wooden counters. In this world, every action carries its own gentle ceremony. Take, for instance, the preparation of tea. A mother lifts a small clay pot over the charcoal stove, the surface glowing softly, and pours boiling water carefully over curled leaves. The steam rises in lazy, curling ribbons, scented with the faint fragrance of jasmine. She hands a cup to her child, who drinks slowly, savoring the warmth, the taste, and the ritual itself. Each gesture is measured, intentional, almost like a meditation in motion. Outside the homes, the city hums with understated life. Laborers haul water in clay jars, their muscles moving in rhythm with the weight and flow of their burdens. Artisans sit cross-legged on wooden stools, carving characters into blocks of wood for printing, the rhythmic tapping of their chisels like a quiet percussion accompanying the ambient city sounds. Imagine their hands, steady and precise, creating impressions that will carry words and dreams across time. Children weave between the stalls, their laughter soft and fleeting, a fleeting melody in the muted tones of the waking streets. The people of Chang'an inhabit a layered social world, yet this morning, distinctions blur in the shared need for sustenance and routine. Merchants exchange quiet greetings, nodding with courteous gestures. The smell of baked bread drifts past the curving corridors, blending with the sharp tang of dried fish and fermented sauces. You notice the way the sunlight touches the tiled roofs, tracing their contours with gentle warmth, and the faint sound of temple bells marking time in intervals both predictable and soothing. As we wander further into the residential quarters, the architecture tells its own story. Narrow lanes open into courtyards surrounded by low, earthen walls and gently sloping tiled roofs. Bamboo fences sway softly in the morning breeze. In one courtyard, a woman kneels beside a low basin, washing cloth with methodical care, water spilling gently over the stone and running into the soil. In another, an elderly man stretches his arms as he tends a small garden, his movements slow, deliberate, a quiet communion with the earth. The rhythm of life here is subtle but constant. Every step, every sound, every smell contributes to a tapestry of existence that is both ordinary and extraordinary. Imagine walking alongside these people, feeling the textures under your fingertips, the smooth stone of the street, the soft fibers of linen clothing, the faintly rough wood of a stall counter. You notice the small joys hidden in their routines. A child discovering the delicate petals of a flower, a baker pausing to admire the symmetry of a freshly shaped dough, a scholar lingering over a favorite phrase in a worn scroll. Even in this quietness, there is movement. The river flowing at the edge of the city reflects the morning light, carrying the faint echo of distant voices. Fishermen in small wooden boats lift nets in silent coordination, their actions smooth and uninterrupted. Along the riverbanks, reeds sway, and the air carries the faint fragrance of damp earth mingled with the metallic tang of the water. The city and its people exist in a delicate balance between motion and stillness, between effort and repose, a rhythm meant to cradle the mind in gentle continuity. And as we pause to observe, you might feel the sense of shared humanity that threads through every gesture, every glance, every quiet act of daily survival. This is not the clang of armies or the grand gestures of emperors, but something softer, slower, yet infinitely intimate. Here, in the calm sweep of morning in Chang'an, life unfolds like a gentle scroll, each moment a brushstroke, each action a whispered testament to resilience, care, and the delicate art of ordinary living. As the morning unfolds, imagine yourself moving from the bustling streets into the quieter corners of homes and small community spaces. Life within these walls is slower, more deliberate, measured by rituals and routines passed down through generations. Each household carries its own rhythm, yet the cadence resonates with the city outside. The soft tapping of wooden clogs on stone floors, the gentle rustle of silk robes, the faint sigh of doors opening and closing with care. Within a modest home, a family gathers for the first meal of the day. Rice, lightly steamed, fills simple bowls. Pickled vegetables, preserved and carefully layered in jars, accompany the plain meal. You can almost smell the faint warmth of steamed grains mingling with the earthiness of dried herbs. The family members sit together, speaking in soft tones, their movements measured, mindful. Even the act of eating becomes a quiet meditation, a rhythm that sustains both body and mind. Outside, the city hums with understated productivity. Couriers on small horses or with baskets slung across their backs move along winding lanes, delivering messages and goods. Their presence is steady but unobtrusive, blending seamlessly with the daily flow. Street vendors set up carefully arranged displays of fruits, teas, and simple snacks. Each item is positioned with intention, a reflection of both practicality and aesthetics. Imagine the subtle patterns of colors and shapes. A child's red ribbon fluttering above a stall, the dark sheen of polished ceramic bowls, the soft green of young vegetables arranged in neat piles. In the courtyards and gardens, daily rituals unfold. Women wash clothes with methodical strokes, water rippling gently in stone basins. Children practice calligraphy under the patient guidance of elders, each brushstroke deliberate, measured, almost like the beating of a quiet drum. In these moments, you sense the care woven into each action, the respect for tradition, for craft, and for the small but profound accomplishments of everyday life. The rhythm of the day carries on to the markets, where merchants weigh rice, tea, and spices, measuring portions with meticulous care. Conversations are hushed, polite, functional. No hurried shouts, no harsh exchanges, just the gentle give and take of human activity. The air carries the mingled sense of cooked grains, fresh water, and the faint tang of ink from newly printed texts. Imagine standing there for a moment, letting your senses absorb these subtleties, the small joys of ordinary existence magnified in the absence of haste. Evenings are another layer of subtle routine. As the sun begins its descent, long shadows stretch across the tiled rooftops. Families gather to light small lamps, their glow soft and reassuring. The city itself seems to exhale, the afternoon heat giving way to a cooler, gentler evening. Children return from their informal lessons or errands, carrying small bundles of herbs or flowers. The air smells faintly of incense, and the soft sounds of distant musical instruments float through open windows, adding gentle texture to the tranquil cityscape. Throughout these hours, you notice the delicate balance of work, rest, and reflection. Craftsmen finish the day's labor, storing tools with care. Scholars read and write by candlelight, immersed in texts that record both wisdom and imagination. Street dogs wander slowly, sniffing at the edges of alleys, their presence calm and unobtrusive. Even the sounds, the distant call of a water carrier, the soft clink of pottery, the gentle rustle of leaves, blend into a lullaby-like rhythm that eases the mind and invites quiet contemplation. Consider also the seasonal transitions that shape daily life. In spring, the air carries the fragrance of blooming flowers and newly turned soil. Summer mornings are warm and slightly damp, urging early activity before the heat intensifies. Autumn brings a crispness to the air, leaves falling in soft layers along quiet streets. Winter is subtle, marked by thin wisps of smoke rising from chimneys, the soft crunch of frost beneath clogs, and a slower cadence as families conserve warmth and energy. Each season influences not only the physical environment, but the emotional texture of life, subtly weaving comfort and continuity into the days. In observing this world, one begins to appreciate the quiet artistry of ordinary life, the way human hands shape tools, food, and objects, the way minds arrange words and symbols, the way hearts maintain small acts of care. Every gesture, every soft sound, every faint smell contributes to a tapestry that, while simple, resonates with depth. You may notice how even moments of labor are tempered with attention, patience, and aesthetic consideration. Life here is not spectacular in the way history books often celebrate. It is ordinary, yet its ordinary nature is itself a kind of poetry. And as the sun continues to lower, imagine walking through a narrow lane, the warmth of fading daylight brushing your skin, shadows pooling in corners, and the faint scent of simmering broth wafting through open doorways. The city slows, the people slow, and you feel a gentle pull toward reflection and rest. In these quiet hours, life in Chang'an is not measured by fame, wealth, or conquest, but by the delicate harmony of simple routines, the ebb and flow of daily existence, quietly unfolding, like ink flowing over scroll. As evening deepens, imagine yourself walking through the winding streets of Chang'an, where the final movements of the day are painted in subtle shades of quiet activity. Lamps are lit, casting soft pools of light against the tiled walls. The aroma of simmering soups and freshly baked bread rises from kitchens tucked into courtyards, mingling with the faint smoke from incense burning in small shrines. The city breathes a slower rhythm now, as if it itself is preparing to rest. In modest homes, families gather around low tables. Elderly grandparents recount gentle tales of past seasons, their voices steady and soft, not seeking applause, but sharing memory. Children sit cross-legged, listening intently, eyes half closed in the calm of warm lamplight. The soft clatter of bowls and the murmur of conversation create a gentle soundtrack, a lullaby of human presence. Evenings are a time for reflection as much as for sustenance. Small contemplations punctuate the ordinary routines, the neat folding of garments, the careful placement of tools and utensils, the slow closing of shutters against the encroaching night. Outside, the city quiets further. Street vendors close their stalls, arranging remaining wares with deliberate care. Couriers make their final deliveries, and the rhythm of footsteps fades into a gentle hush. Occasionally, the distant toll of a temple bell drifts through the air, marking the passage of time without hurry or urgency. The streets, once bustling, now carry a softened resonance, echoing with the subtle traces of a day gently lived. In the homes of scholars and scribes, the final hours are devoted to quiet study. Scrolls are unrolled carefully on polished tables, ink and brushes ready for the delicate dance of characters forming across the paper. Imagine the gentle scratch of brush against parchment, the rhythm slow and meditative, each stroke deliberate, carrying both thought and care. The faint scent of ink mingles with the earthy aroma of wooden floors and woven mats. In these moments, knowledge and creativity unfold not with urgency, but as a quiet ritual, a soft act of reverence toward learning and memory. In the courtyards, small gardens sway in the evening breeze. Bamboo rustles softly, and the petals of night-blooming flowers release their subtle fragrance. Occasionally, the faint splash of water from a small fountain or basin punctuates the stillness. You might imagine a lone cat winding its way along the edges of rooftops, its movements silent and graceful, a companion to the city's quiet pulse. Each element of the evening, from the smallest sound to the faintest scent, contributes to a rhythm that soothes the mind and invites reflection. The twilight hours also reveal the lives of those working quietly behind the scenes. Kitchen staff finish preparing food for the next day, arranging clay pots and utensils in careful order. Artisans may repair or polish tools, their motions deliberate and measured. Laundry is hung to dry, swaying gently in the night air. Even in the simplest actions, there's a sense of mindfulness, a careful attention to detail that turns ordinary labor into a subtle form of artistry. As darkness deepens, households begin to retreat indoors. The cityscape softens further, shadows pooling in alleyways and under eaves. Windows glow faintly with lamplight, a constellation of warm, inviting points across the urban canvas. Voices become murmurs, footsteps grow lighter. In this gentle descent toward night, one notices the constancy of life's quiet patterns, the continuity of human presence, the subtle interactions between people and their environment, and the unspoken harmony of ordinary routines. Imagine yourself now pausing on a small bridge overlooking the canal that runs through the city. Water glistens faintly under the lamplight, reflecting tiles and bamboo, lanterns and rooftops. The air is cool and carries the combined scents of water, earth, and the faint traces of cooking fires. You hear the soft lapping of the river against the banks, the occasional creak of a small boat, and the distant murmur of voices gradually fading. It is a scene both ordinary and profound, a testament to the gentle, enduring rhythms of human life. As you prepare to leave the streets behind and enter the quiet interior of homes for rest, consider the serenity that comes from observing life in its ordinary flow. The day in Chang'an has been neither spectacular nor violent, yet its beauty lies in its constancy and detail. From the stirring of morning to the soft sigh of evening, from the simple meals to the quiet study and labor, each moment contributes to a tapestry of calm. These patterns, repeated day after day, generation after generation, form a world that is rich, textured, and deeply comforting, especially when experienced through the soft lens of reflection and imagination. The first segment of our journey thus closes gently, leaving you with a sense of measured rhythm and quiet presence. You may feel your own breath slow, your mind attuned to the gentle ebb and flow of daily life in a world long past. As the city of Chang'an prepares for sleep, so too does our attention settle, ready to drift forward with us into the next segment, where the intimate life of a single figure entwined with the dream scrolls will quietly unfold before us. Imagine yourself entering a quiet courtyard, removed from the soft bustle of Chang'an streets. Here, a solitary figure prepares for the day, moving with deliberate care. His name is Li Wei, a scholar of modest means but great curiosity, whose life would intertwine quietly yet profoundly with the enigmatic dream scrolls. Through him, we can glimpse the private life of a person whose thoughts and actions are carefully recorded in history, not for battles fought or cities conquered, but for the intimate, reflective way he approached knowledge and observation. Li Wei's mornings begin with ritual and contemplation. Before the sun fully rises, he walks slowly through a small garden, noticing the subtle shifts in nature, the bending of bamboo, the dew-laden petals of early blossoms, the soft murmur of water in a nearby basin. He breathes deeply, inhaling the cool, earthy scent of soil and ink from the scrolls he will soon consult. Every movement is measured, as though the world itself is an extension of his inner thoughts, responding to the precision of his gaze and the gentle cadence of his steps. Within the modest study, scrolls are arranged neatly on shelves of dark wood, ink brushes resting in porcelain holders. Li Wei approaches a particular scroll, its paper delicate, slightly yellowed with age. He unrolls it slowly, careful not to disturb the faint scent of incense that lingers from last evening's ritual. These dream scrolls are records of visions, sometimes prophetic, sometimes whimsical, gathered from various corners of the empire. For Li Wei, they are not curiosities to be sensationalized, but windows into the quiet workings of human thought, emotion, and the subconscious. As he writes, his hand moves with steady rhythm, replicating patterns of observation and interpretation. Each stroke is deliberate, precise, almost musical in its consistency. The soft scratch of brush on paper forms a gentle accompaniment to the world outside, where the city hums quietly and the occasional chime of distant bells punctuates the stillness. Li Wei records not only the dreams themselves, but the subtle context surrounding them. The season, the weather, the state of the individual's life, even the faint odors or ambient sounds that may have influenced the imagery of the vision. Life for Li Wei is a balance of simplicity and meticulous attention. His meals are modest, prepared with care, and consumed with mindfulness. A bowl of rice may be accompanied by lightly steamed vegetables or a few pieces of dried fish, each bite a quiet meditation on nourishment and routine. He drinks tea slowly, savoring both the aroma and the warmth, observing the gentle curling of steam from the cup. Through these small acts, he maintains a steady, unhurried rhythm, a personal discipline that allows him to move through the day with a sense of calm awareness. Beyond the private courtyard, Li Wei interacts with the occasional visitor, a fellow scholar seeking advice, a messenger bearing official letters, or a young apprentice curious about the dream scrolls. Conversations are soft, measured, respectful. There is no hurry, no insistence on immediate resolution, only an exchange of ideas that is deliberate and thoughtful. Each person is allowed their own pace, their own space within the quietude of learning. Li Wei's fascination with dreams is not idle or fanciful. He observes the patterns of life, noting the small consistencies that might reveal hidden truths about the human mind. He studies the scrolls not to predict fortune or fame, but to understand the delicate intersections of daily experience, aspiration, and memory. In doing so, he becomes a bridge between ordinary existence and the contemplative, almost sacred, art of recording human consciousness. Imagine yourself beside him in this serene study, the muted light falling across wooden beams, the faint aroma of ink and dried herbs in the air. You notice the precision of his movements, the quiet patience in his gaze, the soft folding of scrolls, and the careful stacking of brushes. Each action contributes to a world of gentle observation, where time itself seems to slow, allowing the mind to drift and the imagination to settle into a measured calm. Even as Li Wei engages in his work, he remains subtly aware of the city beyond his walls. The faint calls of merchants, the soft patter of footsteps on stone streets, and the occasional distant laughter of children form a gentle background to his contemplations. These sounds are not distractions, but part of a rhythm that balances solitude with connection, study with life, observation with quiet participation. Through Li Wei, we see how a single individual's attention to detail, patience, and respect for daily rhythms can illuminate the extraordinary within the ordinary. As the morning stretches toward midday, the scholar's life unfolds with steady precision. Scrolls are examined, notes recorded, questions posed to himself, and occasionally to trusted companions. Each day follows a pattern, yet within that pattern, subtle variations arise. A new visitor, an unexpected insight, a dream to be recorded. These variations do not disrupt the calm. They enrich it, adding texture to the quiet tapestry of his life. In observing Li Wei, we witness the intimacy of human thought, the gentle art of attention, and the soft unfolding of a life lived deliberately, carefully, and with quiet devotion to understanding. As the day unfolds, imagine yourself walking alongside Li Wei through the quiet halls of scholarship and reflection. The scholar's curiosity is not confined to the walls of his study. He ventures occasionally into libraries, small temples, and local gatherings of thinkers. Each visit is a gentle exploration, a soft tracing of the lines of knowledge that others have painstakingly laid down before him. He approaches the world with a quiet reverence, absorbing the texture of lives, rituals, and ideas as if they were brushstrokes in an intricate painting. In the libraries of Chang'an, long shelves of bamboo and silk scrolls stretch into dim corners. The scent of aged paper mingles with the faint fragrance of sandalwood, and soft lamplight illuminates neat rows of meticulously arranged texts. Li Wei moves slowly, scanning characters, occasionally pausing to lift a scroll for closer inspection. Each discovery is quiet yet profound. A poem, a record of weather patterns, a ledger detailing simple domestic routines, all of them small windows into the lives and minds of past generations. He takes notes carefully, his hands steady, recording subtle observations with an unhurried rhythm. When he encounters other scholars, conversations are gentle, measured, and thoughtful. There is no rush to assert knowledge or outshine a peer. Rather, the exchange itself is valued for its own quiet merit. They discuss dream, symbolism, philosophical reflections, and the delicate patterns of everyday life. Li Wei listens as much as he speaks, his attentiveness a form of respect, his questions gentle probes rather than challenges. Imagine standing nearby, absorbing the soft cadence of words flowing like calm water, the measured nods and pauses punctuating understanding. Beyond the libraries, Li Wei sometimes visits small temples, seeking both inspiration and reflection. Here, incense curls into the air in slow, undulating ribbons, and the low murmur of chants adds a soft resonance to the stillness. He walks slowly along stone paths, noting the patterns of carved reliefs and the subtle arrangement of offerings left by worshippers. Each observation, each thoughtful glance, becomes a record in his mind, a quiet dialogue between the physical world and the interior landscape of contemplation. Meals remain a quiet ritual. A midday bowl of rice or noodles is consumed slowly, with an awareness of both taste and texture. Occasionally, he shares this meal with a visiting friend or apprentice. The conversation soft, reflective, and unhurried. Even in these shared moments, the emphasis is not on excitement, but on presence, being fully aware of the small acts of daily sustenance, of human interaction, and of observation. Li Wei's dedication to the dream scrolls continues to shape his days. He compares one account with another, noting similarities and differences, patterns emerging in subtle ways. Some dreams are filled with the imagery of rivers, mountains, and animals. Others are abstract, flowing like mist through memory. He records not only the narrative of each vision, but also its emotional resonance, the quiet fear, gentle longing, or fleeting delight contained within. All of this is captured without embellishment or dramatization, preserving the soft integrity of human experience. As afternoon softens into evening, Li Wei's movements slow in harmony with the fading sunlight. He pauses at windows, watching the gentle sway of trees or the subtle play of shadows on rooftops. The distant sounds of the city continue. A soft footstep, the faint clatter of pottery, the occasional murmur of a passerby. But they no longer distract. They become part of the rhythm of his observation. Evenings are a time for reflection, for quiet writing, for reviewing the day's meticulous notes. Each stroke of the brush, each carefully chosen character is deliberate, a meditation on both life and the act of recording it. The scholar also takes moments for contemplation outside the strict routines of study. Sitting beneath a low-hanging branch in a courtyard garden, he observes a small bird's careful movements, the wind brushing across bamboo leaves, the slow play of light on water. These observations are quiet but significant, feeding into the subtle patterns of thought that inform his interpretations of dreams. He notices how the ordinary intersects with the extraordinary, how small gestures reveal deeper truths, and how reflection itself can be a soft, guiding light in understanding the human experience. By nightfall, Li Wei returns to his home, unrolling scrolls once more in the gentle lamplight. Each evening is a rhythm. The soft scratch of brush, the quiet turning of pages, the faint curling of incense smoke in the still air. Through these repeated acts of observation and recording, he bridges the ordinary and the mysterious, the daily and the dreamlike. Imagine yourself beside him, feeling the calm continuity of his actions, sensing the steady pulse of life in its quiet, intricate layers. In witnessing Li Wei's day, we are offered a window into a life lived with mindful attention, patience, and subtle curiosity. The dream scrolls are not mere curiosities. They are portals into human consciousness, preserved with care and soft reverence. Through the measured movements of this scholar, the patterns of daily life and the echoes of imagination converge into a tranquil, immersive rhythm, inviting reflection, calm, and quiet wonder. As night deepens, imagine yourself in Li Wei's small study, where the glow of lamplight flickers across delicate scrolls. The city outside is quieted completely. The sounds of footsteps, distant voices, and the soft patter of animals now reduced to faint echoes. Within this tranquil cocoon, Li Wei's attention turns fully to the dream scrolls, his hand moving with steady precision across the paper, each stroke deliberate and meditative. These final hours of the day are devoted to reflection and synthesis. Li Wei compares earlier observations with those recorded in past weeks and months, tracing subtle patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. He notes recurring symbols, flowing water, shifting clouds, a solitary bird in the distance. Yet he does so without urgency, without seeking dramatic conclusions. The act of recording itself becomes a form of quiet meditation, a gentle alignment of mind, hand, and observation. In the soft lamplight, the scholar occasionally pauses, leaning back to gaze through the open window at the night sky. The stars emerge slowly, faint glimmers against the deep indigo of evening. You might imagine him tracing constellations with his eyes, finding a sense of connection between the vastness of the heavens and the intricate details of life documented in his scrolls. The distant murmur of the city, now almost imperceptible, forms a calm backdrop to the intimacy of study and reflection. Li Wei's dedication is not fueled by ambition or the desire for recognition. Instead, it is a quiet devotion to understanding, a patient curiosity about the workings of human thought, memory, and imagination. Each recorded dream, each careful note, is a testament to the ordinary yet profound complexity of life. Through these acts, he creates a bridge between fleeting experience and enduring record, between ephemeral dreams and the permanence of ink on paper. The scholar's evenings also include small, deliberate rituals that bring a sense of closure to the day. A simple bowl of tea, consumed slowly, carries both warmth and contemplation. He folds scrolls with care, arranging them in neat stacks for tomorrow's review. Occasionally, he steps outside to feel the night air, its coolness brushing softly against his skin, carrying the faint fragrance of water, earth, and distant cooking fires. Each sensory impression is noted, quietly woven into the larger tapestry of understanding. Through these nightly routines, one can sense a profound balance in Li Wei's life, a harmony between observation and action, between solitude and engagement, between the mundane and the contemplative. The dream scrolls themselves are neither sensational nor frightening. They are quiet companions, whispering insights that the scholar records with soft reverence. Imagine tracing the delicate lines of ink on the parchment alongside him, noticing the precision, patience, and respect for the smallest details. Even the quiet city beyond the windows becomes part of this meditative rhythm. The occasional splash of water from a canal, the faint rustle of leaves in a courtyard garden, the distant bark of a dog, all these are gentle punctuation marks in the evening's unfolding calm. The scholar does not seek distraction. He absorbs these ambient sounds as part of a subtle tapestry, a framework within which reflection and recording are nurtured. As the night deepens further, Li Wei writes his final notes, pausing often to consider the meaning behind each observation. Dreams, daily life, and quiet reflection converge in these moments, forming a mosaic of experience that is both ordinary and deeply insightful. There is no rush, no expectation, only the patient unfolding of understanding, the gentle accumulation of insight over time. Finally, he closes his scrolls, extinguishes the lamp, and allows himself a brief pause in darkness. The world outside is still, the city rests. Within, there is quiet contentment, a calm awareness that each day has been observed, each moment recorded, each dream honored in its soft and fleeting beauty. You might feel a similar sense of calm as you imagine yourself sharing these quiet hours, witnessing the slow and deliberate unfolding of a life devoted to subtle reflection. Through Li Wei, we see a portrait of a scholar whose significance lies not in fame or conquest, but in the delicate, patient care with which he recorded human experience. His life, intertwined with the dream scrolls, offers a quiet, immersive lens into history, a reminder that beauty often resides not in grand gestures, but in the careful attention to ordinary existence, the soft study of dreams, and the meditative rhythm of everyday life. Imagine yourself walking beyond the familiar streets and gardens of Chang'an toward a quieter, more secluded part of the city where scholars, archivists, and humble laborers handle artifacts whose origins and meanings are shrouded in mystery. Here lies a collection of objects and scrolls that invite reflection rather than excitement, a soft allure that draws the mind gently, like a whisper of the past. Among these is the most enigmatic of all, the dream scrolls themselves, carefully preserved and folded within the cool shadows of a small repository. The repository is modest, with low wooden beams and walls lined with scrolls, jars, and small artifacts. Dust motes drift lazily in shafts of light, filtering through narrow windows. Imagine the faint scent of aged paper mingling with the subtle aroma of ink and incense, an olfactory reminder of centuries of quiet attention. Every object has its story, and yet many of these stories remain only partially understood. The air is thick with the sense of time gently settling into stillness, a calm resonance of human curiosity and care. Among the objects are small clay figures, delicate ornaments, and fragments of manuscripts. Some are ordinary in appearance, weathered, faded, yet meticulous in their design. Others hint at something unusual: abstract patterns, symbolic carvings, or carefully inked illustrations that seem to capture visions or fleeting ideas beyond ordinary comprehension. Scholars who have studied these items often describe a sense of quiet wonder rather than revelation. There are no sudden epiphanies or dramatic secrets, only a slow unfolding of recognition that even small, unassuming objects can carry meaning across centuries. As you imagine turning the scrolls carefully in your hands, you notice the meticulous script of earlier generations. Each character is precise, deliberate, and softly beautiful. The scrolls contain dreams, notes, reflections, and occasionally diagrams that hint at cultural practices or philosophical interpretations. None of these are sensational. They are gentle recordings of human thought, imagination, and subtle observation. In reading them, one senses the reverence with which past scholars approached both the natural and imagined worlds. Excavations and discoveries add another layer of intrigue. Workers and scholars carefully uncover fragments of artifacts from the earth, each one treated with quiet care. Imagine the soft brushing of dirt from a fragile ceramic, the gentle lifting of a scroll from a protective wooden box, the faint scent of aged silk rising as it is exposed to air for the first time in centuries. The process is slow and deliberate, almost ritualistic, emphasizing preservation and contemplation rather than urgency or spectacle. Among the more curious items are small talismans, miniature sculptures, and objects inscribed with cryptic symbols. Their meanings are often uncertain, but they suggest connections to daily life, spiritual practice, or dreams and visions. Even when scholars cannot fully decode them, there is a quiet satisfaction in observing the care with which they were made and the subtle messages they may convey. These artifacts become windows into the rhythms of human thought, imagination, and cultural expression, a reminder that mystery often lies in subtlety rather than in grandeur. Imagine a quiet evening in the repository, with soft candlelight flickering across the surfaces of objects and scrolls. Shadows dance gently on walls, creating patterns that echo the delicate carvings and illustrations on the artifacts. A scholar moves slowly through the space, cataloging, observing, and recording with unhurried care. Each movement is deliberate, echoing the soft rhythm of past generations who first created, preserved, or studied these items. The calm of the environment encourages reflection, allowing the mind to wander through centuries of human thought, imagination, and artistry. Even as mysteries persist, there's a sense of quiet continuity. The artifacts and scrolls are not just remnants of the past. They are part of an ongoing dialogue between generations. Each observation, each careful brushstroke or note, adds to the layered understanding of culture, thought, and daily life. You may notice how ordinary objects, once overlooked, now preserved, speak to the subtle richness of past lives. In this space, discovery is not dramatic or urgent. It is measured, reflective, and deeply calming, inviting the mind to trace connections softly, without haste. As you leave the repository, carrying the sense of stillness with you, consider the soft allure of mystery itself. It is not a sharp, startling sensation, but a gentle tug at the edges of curiosity. The dream scrolls, talismans, and artifacts of ancient China invite contemplation, reflection, and a calm engagement with the past. Through them, we glimpse the quiet diligence of earlier generations, their attention, care, and reverence for both ordinary life and the subtle, sometimes ephemeral, visions that accompanied it. As the day deepens into a gentle afternoon, imagine yourself wandering with scholars through the quiet outskirts of Chang'an, where occasional excavations reveal fragments of a world long past. Here, the soil holds whispers of forgotten lives, and careful hands uncover pottery shards, small ornaments, and the occasional fragment of a scroll that survived the slow passage of time. The work is slow, deliberate, and meditative, a rhythm that mirrors the very nature of the artifacts themselves. The air carries the faint scent of damp earth and aged parchment. Each item is treated with reverence. Brushes sweep dust gently from the surface. Fragile materials are lifted and examined under soft light, and notes are recorded with meticulous precision. Imagine leaning closer to observe a fragment of a dream scroll, its edges worn, yet the characters remain clear and precise. The pattern of strokes and the subtle ink variations speak not only of what is written, but of the hand that wrote it, the patience and care invested in each mark. Among the discoveries are curious objects that suggest ritual, philosophy, and imagination. A small figurine, carved from jade, might depict a creature half real, half symbolic, hinting at stories told at dusk in family courtyards. A fragment of silk, embroidered with delicate lines, may preserve a scene of daily life. Merchants, children, or scholars quietly at work. Even without full context, each piece evokes the rhythms, habits, and reflections of people who lived centuries ago. The subtle mystery of these items draws the eye and the mind inward, inviting contemplation rather than excitement. Scholars move slowly among the fragments, sharing observations in soft tones. Their conversations are not hurried or loud. They are gentle exchanges, reflections on subtle patterns or recurring motifs. One may remark on the way clouds are depicted, another on the symbolic significance of a repeated shape or character. The discussion flows like a quiet stream, a careful, unhurried weaving of knowledge and observation, where each insight is appreciated for its delicacy rather than its immediacy. Even the tools used for study are handled with care and mindfulness. Brushes, chisels, and magnifying lenses are chosen for precision. The act of documenting a discovery is almost ritualistic, a slow unrolling of a scroll, a careful sketch of a fragment, a quiet note recording what is observed. In every motion, there is an awareness of continuity, of human hands across centuries meeting in a shared act of preservation and reflection. In these spaces, the line between the ordinary and the enigmatic softens. A simple carved bowl may hold the echoes of a dream. A weathered scroll may whisper of domestic life or philosophical inquiry. The artifacts themselves are not loud or startling. Their power lies in subtlety, in the quiet connections they form with the human imagination. You may imagine yourself tracing the curves of a carving with your eyes, noting how each gentle stroke reveals intention, patience, and care. As sunlight filters through narrow windows in the repository or through bamboo screens in the courtyard, shadows move softly across the surfaces of these objects. A fragment of pottery glimmers with a faint sheen. A piece of silk catches the light, revealing an intricate design. These quiet revelations reward attention and reflection rather than spectacle, allowing the observer to drift gently between curiosity and calm. Evening begins to settle as you continue to explore. The faint creak of doors, the soft murmur of colleagues, and the occasional sigh of the wind through the trees form a subtle soundtrack. Each artifact, each scroll, becomes a gentle invitation to meditate on human creativity, imagination, and daily life. The slow unfolding of understanding, the layering of observations, and the quiet dialogue between generations create a tapestry of calm insight, encouraging the mind to wander gently rather than rush. In the quiet of this cultural and archaeological space, one realizes that the true beauty of the dream scrolls and related artifacts is not in revelation or dramatic discovery, but in the soft, contemplative experience of observing and recording. The mystery is gentle, inviting reflection, and the process of study itself offers a rhythm that is soothing, immersive, and meditative. Imagine yourself walking slowly among these relics, allowing the faint whispers of the past to settle in your mind, fostering both calm and curiosity. As the segment draws to a close, the repository, courtyard, and surrounding landscape settle into the quiet of evening. The artifacts and scrolls remain as conduits for gentle reflection, bridging centuries of thought, imagination, and ordinary life. The mysteries preserved within them are not urgent or alarming. They are soft, inviting, and measured, offering both insight and tranquility as the day fades toward night. As night falls over the city, imagine yourself returning to the repository, where shadows lengthen and lamplight flickers softly across the shelves and scrolls. The quiet is profound, interrupted only by the occasional rustle of paper or the gentle creak of wooden beams. In this serene atmosphere, the dream scrolls and artifacts seem almost to breathe with the calm resonance of centuries, inviting gentle reflection rather than discovery in haste. A scholar moves slowly through the aisles, unrolling a particularly delicate scroll. The ink, though faded, reveals intricate characters and subtle illustrations, dreams captured in precise strokes, visions that once floated in human minds and are now preserved with quiet reverence. Imagine leaning closer, noticing the faint undulations in the paper, the soft curling at the edges, and the rhythm of the brushstrokes that speak of careful, patient observation. Each line is a quiet bridge between the imagination of the past and the contemplative present. Some artifacts bear curious motifs, carved symbols, abstract shapes, and representations of creatures both real and imagined. Their meanings are not always clear, yet there is a gentle intrigue in pondering their purpose. Perhaps they were meant to inspire reflection, to record a fleeting dream, or to convey a subtle message. Their power lies in their subtlety, their ability to spark calm curiosity rather than urgent revelation. Imagine your gaze tracing the soft curves of a jade carving or the fine embroidery on a silk fragment, each detail revealing patience, skill, and reverence for human experience. Even the act of cataloging these treasures is conducted with unhurried care. Brushes sweep dust gently, soft cloths lift delicate surfaces, and notes are written in precise, deliberate characters. The process itself is meditative, a rhythm of attention, observation, and preservation that mirrors the calm patience of those who first created these objects. The scholar's movements are slow, deliberate, and gentle, almost as if the very air around him carries the quiet weight of history. Outside the windows, the faint sounds of the evening city persist. A soft clatter of distant footsteps, the whisper of wind through bamboo leaves, the occasional low murmur of a passerby. These subtle auditory textures form a quiet backdrop to the repository's interior, creating a sense of continuity between the world outside and the careful, reflective study within. The boundary between human life and the preserved past feels permeable, a soft invitation to consider both ordinary existence and the echoes of memory captured in material form. At the center of these contemplations are the dream scrolls. Each unrolled page reveals a record of thought, reflection, or vision. Some depict natural phenomena, a river meandering through distant hills, clouds drifting across a summer sky. Others illustrate personal or domestic scenes, a scholar quietly observing a courtyard, a family preparing a simple meal, a child watching a bird in flight. None are dramatic. All are quietly immersive, drawing attention to the ordinary yet profound texture of human experience. As night deepens further, lamplight pools across the tables, illuminating a careful arrangement of scrolls and small artifacts. Shadows play softly across surfaces, revealing delicate carvings, inked illustrations, and worn edges of paper. The effect is calming, almost lullaby-like, a gentle visual rhythm that encourages the mind to linger without urgency. Imagine yourself moving slowly through this space, letting your gaze rest on each object, absorbing its quiet story, and feeling the subtle connection between centuries of careful observation and the contemplative stillness of the present moment. The repository itself seems to breathe in quiet harmony with its contents. The gentle scent of ink, paper, and age would combine with the faint fragrance of incense to create an atmosphere of calm focus. Here, the mysteries of the past are not startling or fearsome. They're soft, reflective, and meditative. Each artifact and scroll is a quiet storyteller, inviting patience, attention, and calm engagement rather than excitement or drama. Through this gentle exploration, one realizes that the true fascination of archaeology and cultural study lies not in sudden revelations, but in the layered, patient accumulation of understanding. The artifacts, the dream scrolls, and the quiet routines of scholars form a rhythm that soothes the mind, encourages reflection, and fosters a gentle sense of wonder. Even unresolved mysteries contribute to this calm. The unanswered questions are soft invitations to contemplation rather than sources of tension. As the segment draws to a close, imagine the repository settled into night, a serene sanctuary of reflection and quiet study. The dream scrolls, talismans, and artifacts remain softly illuminated by lamplight, their stories preserved for careful observation. In this calm environment, mystery, archaeology, and culture converge into a gentle rhythm of attention, thought, and quiet curiosity, a perfect prelude to the reflections of daily life and social contrast that follow in our next segment. Imagine yourself leaving the quiet study of scholars and the repository of the dream scrolls, stepping instead into the contrasting world of elite households and bustling urban life in ancient Chang'an. The streets are alive with movement, though still measured, with merchants arranging wares, artisans shaping clay, and attendants moving carefully between private residences. The rhythm of this world is deliberate, a soft cadence that draws the mind into observation rather than excitement. The homes of the elite are arranged with care, reflecting both status and aesthetic sensibility. Courtyards open to soft sunlight, trees trimmed in gentle arcs, and small ponds shimmer quietly, disturbed only by the faint ripple of a passing breeze or the occasional koi gliding beneath the surface. Imagine the muted aroma of incense mingling with fresh herbs growing in courtyard gardens, each scent layering softly to create an atmosphere of calm refinement. These spaces are designed not merely for utility, but to nurture contemplation, comfort, and measured social interaction. Within these households, daily life unfolds with a deliberate elegance. Servants move quietly, attending to both practical and ceremonial tasks, pouring tea, arranging flowers, lighting lamps. Each action is performed with care, almost ritualistically, a soft echo of the attention paid to the smallest details in the scholar's study or the repository. Imagine observing an attendant arranging a low table for a midday meal, each bowl, each utensil positioned with careful symmetry, the motion slow, precise, and rhythmic. Meals themselves are quiet occasions, emphasizing both nourishment and presence. A midday meal may include steamed rice, small dishes of vegetables and fish, and fragrant tea. Conversation is subdued, punctuated with polite gestures and measured words, a reflection of social decorum rather than an attempt to entertain or impress. Imagine tasting each flavor slowly, appreciating the textures, and sensing the calm intention behind every preparation. Elite education and leisure also reveal subtle contrasts with more common daily routines. Children of wealthy families might be tutored in calligraphy, music, or philosophy, seated beside teachers in airy rooms with paper scrolls and instruments arranged neatly around them. Their lessons are conducted with patience and attention, emphasizing discipline and reflection. Meanwhile, adults may pursue poetry, music, or quiet discussion, fostering a gentle intellectual rhythm that complements domestic routines. The household's attention to aesthetic and cultural refinement is mirrored in objects both large and small. Painted screens depicting distant landscapes, low tables adorned with carefully arranged objects, porcelain bowls painted with delicate scenes, and silk cushions that invite comfort and contemplation. Each item carries both practical and symbolic significance, softening daily life into a measured dance of observation, interaction, and quiet reflection. Evenings in elite households carry their own gentle cadence. Lanterns are lit, casting warm light across polished surfaces and muted shadows across walls. Courtyards are walked slowly, conversations whispered in subdued tones. Music may drift softly from stringed instruments or flutes, the notes carefully measured, harmonizing with the quiet rhythm of daily existence. Imagine standing in one such courtyard, feeling the balance between movement and stillness, between action and reflection, sensing the soft harmony that frames elite life. Despite the comforts of wealth and status, these households are not free from constraint or care. Social expectations, family obligations, and the subtle pressures of etiquette shape behavior in quiet but pervasive ways. The elite are measured in speech, deliberate in action, and attentive to reputation. Yet these constraints also encourage mindfulness, observation, and appreciation for the rhythms of both domestic life and social interaction. Even as we observe these contrasting lives, from scholars quietly studying dream scrolls to the elaborate yet measured routines of the elite, there is a shared sense of human attention and care. The ordinary and extraordinary converge in subtle ways. The gentle handling of artifacts, the careful arrangement of meals, the quiet guidance of children, and the meditative observation of everyday phenomena. Each of these moments, though different in context, contributes to a layered understanding of life in ancient China, a tapestry of reflection, attention, and calm immersion. Imagine yourself walking slowly through this elite household, observing courtyards, listening to soft conversation, noting the interplay of light, shadow, and movement. The scene is rich yet gentle, detailed yet not overwhelming, offering a sense of calm and continuity. Here, as elsewhere, life is shaped by care, mindfulness, and subtle ritual, creating spaces where both ordinary and extraordinary aspects of human existence are preserved, observed, and appreciated. As the sun drifts lower in the sky, imagine yourself moving deeper into the rhythms of elite life, exploring spaces and routines that contrast sharply with the quiet diligence of scholars and the soft mysteries of the repository. Here, daily life is governed by both refinement and ritual, a deliberate choreography of comfort, attention, and measured social interaction. In the courtyards, attendants sweep gently, raking gravel or rearranging stones to create a sense of harmonious order. The faint rustle of silk garments accompanies quiet footfalls, and the air carries a gentle fragrance of flowers and incense. Imagine observing the soft curves of carved wooden railings, the way sunlight filters through lattice screens, and the subtle interplay of light and shadow across polished floors. The environment itself encourages calm observation, fostering a sense of ease and quiet reflection. Meals remain a focal point of rhythm and ritual. A late afternoon tea may be served, with delicate porcelain cups filled with fragrant infusions. The subtle aroma of jasmine or chrysanthemum mingles with the faint scent of polished wood and bamboo. Conversation flows gently, rarely interrupted by laughter or raised voices. Instead, there is a careful attention to tone, an unhurried exchange of ideas, reflections on art or literature, or polite inquiries into the day's affairs. Each sip, each movement, each word is measured, contributing to a soft, contemplative cadence. Within these households, artistic pursuits provide both entertainment and subtle cultivation of the mind. A musician may practice a guqin, the delicate notes drifting through open windows and courtyards. A poet may compose a quiet verse, noting the rustle of leaves or the subtle movement of water in a nearby pond. Children learning painting or calligraphy are guided with gentle patience, each stroke encouraged to flow naturally, reflecting not speed, but precision and mindfulness. Imagine tracing the careful brushwork on a paper scroll, observing the flow of ink, and sensing the soft patience that accompanies every mark. The household's architecture itself encourages reflection. Small gardens, ponds, and pavilions are arranged for both aesthetic beauty and quiet contemplation. Paths wind slowly, drawing the eye to gentle water features, delicate plants, or carefully placed stones. These spaces are not merely decorative. They are immersive environments designed to encourage mindfulness, balance, and serenity. Walking through them, one feels the subtle rhythm of a life attuned to both comfort and quiet observation. Evening rituals further reinforce this gentle order. Lanterns are lit one by one, casting pools of soft light on walls, floors, and courtyards. Shadows dance gently, creating a living tapestry of muted movement and soft contrast. Attendants extinguish lamps in certain rooms, leaving others illuminated for music, reading, or quiet discussion. The atmosphere becomes almost meditative, a blend of domestic routine, aesthetic sensibility, and social structure, all unfolding at a deliberate, measured pace. Despite wealth and refinement, there remains a sense of obligation and attentiveness in these households. Social hierarchy, family duties, and cultural expectations shape behavior subtly but persistently. Yet rather than tension or pressure, these structures encourage mindfulness and measured reflection. Every action, from serving tea to arranging cushions, reflects attention to detail, consideration of others, and respect for tradition. Observing this, one senses a balance between personal comfort and social harmony, a gentle interplay of duties, ritual, and domestic elegance. Through this lens, the contrast between different layers of society become both apparent and harmonious. The careful work of scholars and the soft allure of dream scrolls coexist with the refined domestic rhythm of the elite, forming a rich tableau of human life in ancient China. Daily routines, rituals, and social norms, whether subtle or elaborate, contribute to a shared sense of continuity, mindfulness, and reflection. The ordinary, the extraordinary, the contemplative, and the refined all weave together into a tapestry of calm existence. As the day continues toward evening, imagine yourself moving slowly through these spaces, observing courtyards, listening to music, noting the soft interactions of attendants and family members, and tracing the subtle play of light and shadow. Life here is not dramatic or urgent. It is immersive, deliberate, and reflective. Through careful observation, you sense a quiet beauty in both the ordinary and the ritualized aspects of elite life. A calm reminder that human experience is rich, layered, and textured even in its most measured forms. As evening deepens into night, imagine the quiet unfolding of life within the elite households of Chang'an. Lanterns sway gently in the courtyard breeze, casting soft golden reflections on water, polished floors, and delicate furnishings. The rhythm of life is slow, unhurried, and thoughtful, a quiet contrast to the bustling streets beyond, yet connected by the subtle pulse of city life. Inside, family members gather for reflection, discussion, or modest entertainment. A parent may read quietly beside a lamp, the soft glow illuminating lines of carefully written script. Children listen attentively, learning the ways of both literature and life, their movements deliberate and measured. Each action is gentle, precise, and mindful, reinforcing the sense of calm attention that permeates the household. Imagine leaning into the scene, noticing the serene focus on the faces of those present, the quiet gestures, and the muted cadence of voices that carry not drama, but the rhythm of routine and care. Evening meals are conducted with similar deliberation. A low table holds an array of small dishes, each chosen for flavor, color, and harmony rather than abundance or extravagance. The faint aroma of herbs, steamed rice, and simmered vegetables mingles with the soft scent of incense burning nearby. Conversation is subdued, an exchange of reflections, insights, and measured stories. There is no need for laughter or spectacle. The simple act of sharing a meal, prepared and consumed with attention and care, embodies a profound, quiet richness. Leisure activities follow the meal in measured cadence. Some may play soft instruments, allowing gentle music to drift through open windows and courtyards. Others may engage in quiet games of strategy or philosophy, exercises that foster both mental acuity and calm reflection. Even the act of observing the natural world, a koi gliding beneath the surface of a pond, shadows shifting across the courtyard, the subtle movement of lantern light, becomes a contemplative exercise. Each moment is savored, its rhythm encouraging attention, patience, and quiet awareness. The architecture of these spaces further reinforces serenity. Pavilions open to the night air, shaded corridors echo softly with footsteps, and courtyards are carefully designed to guide sight lines toward water, plants, or stone arrangements. Imagine walking slowly along one of these paths, the cool evening air brushing your skin, shadows stretching and mingling with lantern light, and the faint murmur of distant city life blending with the gentle hum of domestic routine. Every detail is intended to soothe, focus, and immerse the observer in measured contemplation. Even in households of privilege, there is mindfulness of duty and decorum. Social and familial responsibilities shape action, yet these constraints do not create tension. Rather, they cultivate awareness, care, and intentionality. Each servant, attendant, and family member moves with purpose, attuned to the rhythms of life, the subtle signals of etiquette, and the quiet demands of observation. There is a soft elegance in these interactions, a harmony between expectation and attention, contributing to the household's overall sense of calm order. The night continues with a gentle progression of tasks and quiet reflection. Some may write letters, others may study texts or scrolls, and a few may walk through the courtyard, listening to the rustle of leaves or the distant call of a night bird. Each action is deliberate, composed, and mindful, echoing the care observed in earlier segments of scholarly study or archaeological preservation. Life, in its elite and ritualized form, is both structured and fluid, a measured dance of presence, observation, and reflection. As you slowly observe this world, imagine how it contrasts with yet complements other lives you have explored today. The quiet dedication of scholars, the patient unfolding of mysteries in the repository, and the gentle rhythms of elite daily life are all woven into a tapestry of measured human existence. Each scene, each gesture, each shadowed corner is part of a continuous meditation on care, attention, and calm engagement with both ordinary and extraordinary facets of life. Finally, as the lanterns burn low and the household settles into the deep quiet of night, you sense the convergence of rhythms across society. The measured diligence of the scholar, the contemplative patience of the artifact custodian, and the reflective grace of elite domestic life all contribute to a layered understanding of ancient China. Each moment, though distinct, resonates softly with the others, creating a profound sense of continuity, reflection, and serene immersion, a fitting conclusion to our exploration of contrasting daily lives. As our journey through the forgotten dream scrolls, quiet archives, and measured lives of ancient China draws to a close, imagine yourself reclining in a soft, dimly lit room. The day's explorations of scholars' careful study, the gentle uncovering of mysteries, and the serene rhythms of elite daily life now settle into a calm, reflective memory. You have wandered through time, tracing both ordinary and extraordinary moments, yet always at a measured pace, allowing the mind to drift and rest. Think of the dream scrolls and artifacts not only as relics of the past, but as conduits of calm reflection. Each fragment, each line of ink, each small carved object carries a whisper from centuries ago, inviting you to pause, to breathe, and to contemplate the quiet persistence of human imagination and daily life. Even the mysteries left unresolved are gentle prompts for the mind to wander softly, to drift without urgency into thoughts both familiar and distant. The contrast between bustling streets, quiet scholarly rooms, and refined elite households illustrates the richness of human experience. Daily routines, small rituals, and quiet contemplation all interweave to create a tapestry of life that is both structured and flowing. There is beauty in the ordinary, fascination in patient observation, and serenity in mindful engagement. Lessons preserved across centuries in these soft stories of the past. As you settle further into comfort, perhaps under a blanket or reclining in your favorite chair, imagine the rhythms of history gently lapping around you like a slow tide. The subtle patterns of life, thought, and human care, once distant, now feel connected to your own existence, blending seamlessly into the quiet of the present moment. The streets of Chang'an, the repositories of ancient scrolls, and the lantern-lit courtyards of the elite, all fade softly into memory, leaving only calm awareness and a gentle sense of wonder. If this kind of soft storytelling has offered you even a fraction of calm, feel free to like the video, subscribe to Sleepy Historian, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know where you're listening from, and perhaps what hour it is as you drift with these stories. There's a quiet comfort in knowing others, somewhere in the world, are resting and reflecting alongside these gentle tales of history. Now, dim the lights, allow the whispers of the past to settle in your mind, and let the calm stories of human life, discovery, and imagination guide you towards sleep. The day has ended not with a dramatic flourish, but with soft reflection, gentle understanding, and the soothing rhythm of history itself. Let these memories drift lightly through your thoughts, carrying you toward rest, peace, and the quiet serenity of night. Good night, and may your dreams, like the scrolls we've explored, be full of gentle wonder,